Ladies and gentlemen, race fans from around the world, welcome back to the Clemhawks Cup Series Season number 1. We're here at the historic Martinsville Speedway for Race 2 in this first season, and the excitement is palpable as our drivers gear up for another thrilling showdown on this iconic short track. The field has grown from 13 to 34. But the rules are still the same. It's win and you're in, and you secure a spot in the 12-team playoff. To recap the first race, Alex Bowman locked himself into the playoffs with a win at Daytona. He starts deep in the field today, and while a win means you're in, you're still going to be fighting for points in the playoffs for seeding purposes, as well as a trophy in each race. It's still anyone's game at this point in the season, and yes, some drivers will have a one-race advantage, 1 or 2 races, and you could find yourself on the outside looking in. I'm excited. Let's take a look at some drivers to watch. How about the number 7 of Corey LaJoie starting second today? A great qualifying effort for that team, and we'll see if he can stay up front. Another driver who is always up front at every track we seem to go to, Kyle Larson. He's fast in that 5 HendricksCars.com Chevy, and Hendrick, of course, is always good. We'll see if he can stay up front as well. The last driver to watch, Kyle Busch. He's always good at tracks like Bristol and Martinsville. He starts deep in the pack today. We'll see if he can work his way up to the front. Should be an exciting one. Let's head down trackside for pre-race ceremonies and get this one started.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines, brothers!
That engine sound never gets old, and we're at Martinsville. It's gonna be fast. The cars are gonna be loud all race long. They have started to roll off, so let's take a look at your starting grid. Christopher Bell sits on pole alongside Corey LaJoie in the 7, and behind them another Joe Gibbs racing machine in the 19 of Martin Truex. And of course you can see the grid rolling by. Hendrick will round out the top 5 with William Byron and Kyle Larson. There's a ton of cars on this grid, so you'll just see that scrolling on the bottom of the screen. But this is a perfect time to remind you, if you like this series, please let me know down in the comments. Make sure you like the video and subscribe as well. I really appreciate it. We have 10 races in this first season, and I want to make sure the rest of them are as enjoyable as possible and to get you, the viewer, the most out of this action. So please let me know if there are any changes that should be made or anything that you want to see in the comments below. And now it is time to go racing. That is your starting grid. We have 15 laps at Martinsville. Green flag is out at Christopher Bell. Leads them down into turn 1 and 2. It's a short track, and that means the bottom is going to be key. As you can see, the first 3 or 4 guys are already single file as Christopher Bell leads the first lap. It's Bell, Truex Jr., and Larson. As there goes Truex Jr. looking to the inside of Bell. He closes the door and will lead lap 2 as well. Now here comes Kyle Larson on the inside of the 19. He moves up into second, and when you're on the outside, you're going to be falling all the way back, but luckily there's a caution. Caution comes out here on lap 3, as it looks like the number 42 went around, and maybe the 17 as well. Let's take a look at a replay and kind of dissect this a little bit more. So on the backstretch coming out of turn 2, it looks like the 42 might have thought he was clear of the 17. He clearly wasn't, and he gets turned around. And unfortunately, it looks like the 17 goes around off the back bumper of his own teammate, the 6 of Brad Keselowski. So that's interesting. We'll see if that creates a feud between the two teammates. It looks like the 17 will remain in the race, though. He will just have to start from the back. The 42, unfortunately, will be out after a hard hit in the outside wall, but lucky for Martin Truex Jr. He was on the outside. He was just going to keep falling back, gets a lucky caution, and will restart 5th. We start on lap 7. Green flag is back out. Christopher Bell leads him down into turn 1, but he goes wide, and Kyle Larson will take the lead over Christopher Bell, but there's another caution. Just as we were getting back to green, the 31 collects the 4. They go into the turn 1 wall, And let's take a look at some of these replays, try to see what happened. It looks like the 4 might have been loose, and maybe the 31 just drove right into the back of him as well. Either way, we'll take a look at it one more time. Both of those cars are going to be out of the race as the 4 of Kevin Harvick takes a hard hit into the outside wall. So both cars out of the race. Hopefully they are okay. But let's take a look at stage points that happened during that caution. Looks like Kyle Larson does get the 5 stage points for being the winner of that stage after Christopher Bell made the error and slid up the track. We restart again on lap 10 as Kyle Larson will lead the field to green this time, and as Bell is on the outside, here comes Corey LaJoie and Martin Truex Jr. We'll see if Bell can pull down into that 4th spot, and he does as Kyle Larson leads lap 10. First 4 cars are single file as they head down the backstretch. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. looking for second. LaJoie on the outside, Bell goes with him, and here on lap 12, it is still single file through the first 4 or 5 cars. Looks like lap 12, 3 laps to go. These cars in the back are going to have to start making moves. There's Kyle Busch. He's fast on the bottom, but it's still single file up front. Kyle Larson leading him to lap 13 as Christopher Bell will dive to the inside of Martin Truex Jr. Can he run down the 5 of Kyle Larson after he fell back to 4th? Looks like lap traffic might come into play here as well. 2 laps to go. Kyle Larson dives to the inside of the number 91, Kimi Räikkönen, and then pulls up. He thought that Bubba Wallace might have been faster, but that bottom is still going to be fast as Christopher Bell takes the lead with 1 lap to go. It's Bell, then Truex Jr., and then Denny Hamlin in 3rd place. All Joe Gibbs cars as they come into turn 3 and 4. Christopher Bell will win at Martinsville and lock himself into the playoffs here in race number 2. What a fantastic finish as we will catch you back up to speed. That went really quickly, and take a look at the replay. Here's Kyle Larson diving to the inside of the lap traffic, and maybe he just thought that Bubba Wallace on the outside was faster than Michael McDowell, but Christopher Bell and the rest of the train came right through, and from there, it was just single file action. All 3 Joe Gibbs racing cars getting to the front and winning the race for the team. But Christopher Bell, obviously with the burnout, secures himself into the playoffs. A fantastic race as Christopher Bell started on the pole as well. So from first to first, and of course locking himself into the playoffs. Here are your race results. Bell, Truex Jr., and Hamlin, all 3 of those guys part of Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Larson, even though he had that problem at the lead, blew the race, does finish 4th. As you can see, the rest of the field cycle through here. As far as points standings, of course, we mentioned that Bowman is locked into the playoffs. Bell is locked into the playoffs. You can see the cars in yellow would be in the playoffs if the race season ended today. And of course, if you are the leader in the playoffs, you will get an extra couple of bonus points that will help you through the first couple of rounds. So Larson, even though he finished 4th, will still be in the playoffs as of today in that 12th position. Of course, if you don't finish the race, you do knock down 10 points, and if you go a lap down, you're also subtracted 1 point. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the race, and we'll see you next time for race 3.